Bring in Senator John Thune, Republican of South Dakota. He is the Senate Minority Whip, and he's not, these people in South San Francisco are not the only ones raising the alarm. Congressman Maloney, he's in charge of trying to get Democrats in the House reelected. Here's what he said this week.
Don't talk about Nobel laureates, because no one cares. Talk about the price of a gallon of milk. Talk about the price of a gallon of gas. What's a pound of hamburger cost? And if you don't get the cost of groceries and gas down, yeah, it's a problem. And there's no excuse when you're in power.
And Senator, we'll put it up there on the board for everyone to see. The prices that are way up. Steak, 17%, bacon, 18%. And of course, we've been talking about used cars way up as well. Furniture, everything is up, and they are basically in a free fall, it seems.
Right. Yeah, the Democrats, Dana, to your point, are going to have a lot of explaining to do to the American people. I mean, I think a wave is building out there. Some of it revolves around the cultural issues that you just mentioned. A lot of it has to do with pocketbook issues, economic issues. Average American family this year paid $3,500 more just because of the higher cost of goods and everything that they buy. And if you think about it, it all comes back to policy decisions the Democrats have made. I mean, the price of a gallon of gas has a lot to do with shutting down energy projects. You look at the chaos in the border, that's a change in immigration policies. You look at the chaos in crime in the cities, that has a lot to do with the defund the police and all the woke movement that's out there. And the inflation issue really has to do with all the spending the Democrats have piled up, coupled with, again, lack of an energy policy, which is shooting gasoline through the roof. It's 40% higher than it was a year ago. So inflation in January 2021 was 1.2%, well within the Fed's target range of 2%. Today it's 7.5%. So
wow.
Think about the impact that has on the average family.
Hey, think about, I know you're confident in winning back Congress, at least maybe the House, possibly the Senate is part of the reason why you're traveling the country on this. Have you been able to picture how Joe Biden governs with a divided Congress? What does he do with the progressive left policies? How does he manage those? Do they blow it all up and go back to the center, or do they try and keep them on their left flank?
I think what they'll find probably coming out of the election bill, particularly if they do lose control, the majority, at least in the House and hopefully as well in the Senate, is that these far left policies are just so far out of the mainstream in the country right now that they can't get people elected. And I think Biden, being political, and his people around him are going to say, we can't. This may satisfy the far left woke movement in the country, the radical extreme agenda that they have, but it's not where America is. And if we want to get reelected, we're going to have to come to the center. I mean, my expectation would be that they would follow the model that Bill Clinton followed after the '94 elections.
It doesn't look like they're doing that, though.
They're not yet.
It really doesn't.
They're not yet. I think the reality is starting to set in, though. You've seen some of these stories, and Schumer's rhetoric is changing. The Democrats' rhetoric is changing in the Senate. They realize they're on the wrong side of public opinion.
But if they give progressives the back of the hand, whether it's now, whether a year from now, it's going to be ugly.
It is. And, the energy, the activists, the money in Democrat politics is on the far left.
So I wanted to ask you about this because you represent South Dakota, a wonderful state, a lot of rural counties there in that state. Here's a Democrat in rural Pennsylvania saying that the hatred for Democrats is just unbelievable. This is Tim Holohan. He's an accountant based in rural McKean County who recently encouraged his daughter to get rid of a pro-Joe Biden bumper sticker. He says, "I feel like we're on the run." Senator Tester, I won't play the sound for you, but basically from Montana, saying the Democratic Party is at risk of losing all of rural America. Do you see it that way?
Well, I think they're getting crushed in the middle of the country, and the reason is that it's extreme radical agenda. People in the middle of the country tend to believe in limited but effective government, personal freedom coupled with individual responsibility, economic freedom,
and
free enterprise, and an energy policy. They, believe me, we know, when you come from that kind of geography, Dana, how much you rely on energy. You had home heating fuel in the winter, gasoline to get places, and natural gas. All those things are critically important. And what people in the middle of the country see is, the Democrat government, it's an all-Democrat government, House, Senate, and White House right now, driving an agenda that is completely out of step with what their priorities are, what they care about, which is why you see things swinging hard the other direction. Now, it's a long ways off, but there is a wave building out there, and the Democrats are starting to realize they may be on the wrong side of it.
It appears that the politicians aren't there yet.
Well,
but the voters are, and I'll give you the example. You compare San Francisco to the school board ousting.
Yeah.
I mean, the voters in the city of San Francisco now, right? They went 85% Democrat in 2020. This is Nancy Pelosi's district.
Yeah.
They threw 3 of them out. I mean, if all 7 were up for a recall, maybe they would have gone 7 for 7. On the other end of the country in Virginia, you only had 3 Democrats vote with Governor Youngkin and Republicans on the mask issue.
Well, and I think that's part of the D.C. bubble. I mean, I think, and maybe it's true, and you know, San Francisco, of course, is kind of the mecca of wokeness. But when that message gets sent in a place like San Francisco, the people in the bubble in Washington are going to start figuring it out. But I think that's true. I think there is a bubble in Washington, Bill. I think they talk to each other. I think a lot of them aren't getting out around the country and hearing from the people that we're hearing.
Because they're COVID crazy. Okay, I want to show you the power rankings that we released here on our show on Tuesday, I believe it was. This is, or Wednesday. This is the Senate. We can put it up here. You can see where Republicans are likely to win again. That's in the red. You got the blue ones are likely to stay Democrat. But then look at all those others in the yellow. Out of those races, is there any that you're particularly concerned about? Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and Georgia.
I think the best, we have a really nice list of pickup opportunities. We've got, you know, they're very competitive races, and I think as the year wears on, the political environment continues to improve. The key for us, obviously, is nominating electable candidates. But I think if you look at Georgia, we got a great candidate, you know, Herschel Walker running down there. Arizona's still open. There's a primary down there. A lot of speculation around the governor, Doug Ducey, getting in at some point. And
what about Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is an interesting race. A lot of candidates, 2 that have kind of emerged to the top right now. But however that comes out after the primary, I think Pennsylvania is the kind of state that will be a bellwether for what's happening in the country. And I think we're going to win that one. We have to hold serve in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, Ohio, and North Carolina, Missouri. But then we have a nice map. If you look at New Hampshire, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, we got some good pickup opportunities. Could be a good year.
That's an excellent sports analogy. From South Dakota.
You know, if you ask me, I could do sports, Dana.
Thank you for your time.
Great to see you.
Good to be with you all.
Thank you. John Thune, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Bill, thanks.
Hillary Clinton was back out in public in the spot.